It was supposed to be just another night in Atlanta, a city that wears its glamour like a second skin. The evenings here are a curated spectacle of sound and light, a relentless parade of luxury cars, designer outfits, and the fleeting, dazzling smiles of celebrities moving through the urban landscape. The clubs, temples to this nightly ritual, are renowned for their palpable energy, for the crowds that arrive dressed not just to impress, but to conquer, and for the artists and athletes who grace these spaces, their very presence a currency of cool. But what unfolded on this particular night transcended the usual script of glitz and glamour. It felt like a storm whose clouds had been gathering for months, a tempest everyone saw brewing on the horizon, but nobody truly believed would make landfall with such ferocity. And at the very eye of this hurricane was Aaron Pierre, an actor whose name had become inextricably, and perhaps unfairly, tangled in the volatile narrative of Teyana Taylor and the long, imposing shadow of her estranged Iman. When Aaron Pierre first crossed the threshold of the club, his intention seemed to be the very definition of low-key. Witnesses later recounted a man attempting to shrink into the scenery, his posture relaxed, his demeanor unassuming. He moved with a quiet purpose, heading for the bar, ordering a drink, and engaging in muted conversation with a small circle of friends. But in Atlanta, drama is not a destination. It is a persistent, shadowy companion. Whispers, once confined to the digital echo chambers of social media, have a way of materializing in the real world, taking on weight and substance. From the moment he entered, a segment of the crowd tracked his every move. The atmosphere, already thick with bass and the cloying sweetness of expensive perfume, grew heavier, charged with an unspoken anticipation. For months, Aaron's name had been a recurring footnote in the saga of Teyana and Iman's crumbling marriage. The rumors were insidious, suggestions of a closeness that crossed professional lines, of him stepping into intimate spaces that were not his to occupy. Online, the court of public opinion was fiercely divided. Some defended him as a mere colleague, an innocent bystander caught in the crossfire of a private war. Others painted him as the catalyst, the variable that finally fractured a fragile union. This digital chatter does not remain confined to screens. It leaks into the physical world, and in a city where perception and respect are the bedrock of social currency, such rumors can transform a casual drink into a provocation. The shift in the room's energy was not a gradual change but a seismic event. One moment, the club was a cacophony of celebration, laughter ringing out, glasses clinking, bodies moving in sync with the DJ's relentless beat. The next, a subtle but unmistakable current of tension began to emanate from one corner. Conversations faltered, replaced by hushed tones and pointed glances. Phones, those modern-day extensions of the self, were surreptitiously raised, their lenses focusing like predators sighting prey. Atlanta's social scene operates with a pack mentality. When drama stirs, the crowd instinctively gathers, half reveler, half documentarian, ready to broadcast the spectacle to the world. Aaron, for all his efforts to maintain a facade of nonchalance, felt the change. You could see the realization dawn on his face, a slight tightening around the eyes, a subtle straightening of the spine. His guard, once down, was now firmly in place. The party was over. A standoff had begun. Across the crowded room, a group of men unmistakably aligned with Iman began their advance. These were not random patrons. They were an extension of Iman's will, men who carried his loyalty like a badge of honor and were not inclined to let any perceived disrespect, real or imagined, go unanswered. They moved with a deliberate, unsettling grace, closing the distance, not with a rush, but with a slow, inexorable pressure. Like sharks circling a scent, the confrontation began not with fists, but with words, harsh, guttural whispers that managed to slice through the wall of music. "You don't belong here," one of them was heard to mutter, the words a verbal shove. Another leaned in, his proximity, a blatant violation of personal space, a universal signal that the situation was escalating beyond verbal sparring. The crowd, sensing the imminent eruption, instinctively peeled back, creating a hollow, human amphitheater for the impending conflict. Security personnel, their trained eyes catching the disturbance, began to move, but they were already too late. The emotional dam had burst. Voices rose, sharp and accusatory. A member of Iman's crew stepped chest to chest with Aaron, a classic act of intimidation. In that moment, the last vestiges of Aaron's composure shattered, replaced by a raw, visible fear. He attempted to reason, to de-escalate, but he was surrounded, outnumbered, and trapped in a narrative he no longer controlled. The turning point was as brutal as it was predictable, a single, forceful shove to Aaron's shoulder. His drink flew from his hand, glass shattering on the floor, the liquid a dark stain spreading like an omen. A collective gasp rippled through the onlookers, and the scene descended into pure, unadulterated chaos. What followed was a frantic, humiliating scramble for safety. Aaron's friends, realizing the grave danger, formed a protective cordon around him, pulling him back through the gawking crowd as security desperately tried to hold back the advancing tide of Iman's enraged crew. The dance floor became an obstacle course. Drinks were knocked over, people screamed, and the air was thick with a mixture of fear and morbid excitement. "Run!" An anonymous voice yelled from the throng, and the command was heeded. Aaron Pierre, the actor who had walked in hoping for an anonymous night, was now fleeing for his dignity and possibly his safety. The chaos did not end at the club's doors. It spilled out onto the street, transforming the curated glamour of Atlanta's nightlife into a scene from a tense thriller. The night air, once cool, was now filled with the sounds of shouting, revving engines, and the frantic footsteps of pursuit. A waiting car, its engine already running, became his only sanctuary. Aaron dove into the back seat, the door slamming shut just as his pursuers burst onto the sidewalk. Tires screeched in protest as the driver slammed the accelerator, weaving the vehicle through the dense traffic, a desperate attempt to lose the cars that gave chase. The pursuit was short-lived, but its message was enduring and crystal clear. By the time the sun rose, the digital aftermath was already in full swing. The videos, captured on 100 different phones, had gone viral. Grainy clips of Aaron's frantic run, the aggressive posturing of Iman's crew, and the screeching car getaway were everywhere. Twitter ignited with hot takes and memes. Instagram stories were flooded with commentary. The court of public opinion was back in session, and the verdicts were brutal. "He thought Atlanta was sweet," one user jeered. Another warned, "Aaron better stay out of Georgia if he wants to keep his career." The internet wasn't just gossiping. It was picking sides, dissecting the drama with the fervor of sports analysts. Some condemned Aaron for venturing into what they deemed forbidden territory, while others criticized Iman's crew for their disproportionate aggression. For Aaron Pierre, the fallout was immediate and damaging. His name trended for all the wrong reasons, his public image shifting from promising actor to a man who had been publicly run out of town. His representatives issued statements framing the incident as an unprovoked attack on a man simply enjoying a night out. But in the arena of public perception, the narrative was already set. He had been humiliated and chased by a force loyal to Iman Shumpert. That kind of reputation, once earned, is notoriously difficult to shed. And then, there remains the lingering, silent question of Tayana Taylor. What did she think, watching this real-world manifestation of a rumor she was central to? Was she horrified, embarrassed, or secretly concerned for Aaron? Her silence in the wake of the incident was deafening, a void that the public and the press filled with their own frantic speculation, only adding more fuel to a fire that was already raging out of control. The terrifying truth is that this night was never just about a club. It is a single, violent chapter in a feud that seems to be accelerating toward an even more dangerous climax. Aaron Pierre may have escaped with his body intact, but the psychological and reputational scars of that chase will linger. He learned a hard, visceral lesson about the world he navigates, in the intertwined realms of entertainment and street politics, where online whispers manifest as physical threats and respect is the ultimate currency. Actions speak with a thunderous finality. Atlanta, on that night, offered no forgiveness. And if the actions of Iman Shumpert's crew are any indication, this story, for Aaron Pierre and all those entangled within it, is tragically far from over.